we are back with another episode today, and we are joined by the lovely Yolanda. Yolanda and I have been friends for many of years. We just calculated it. I think we were like 15 years, probably, I think.
Yeah.
And
14,
yeah, this
at least.
15,
14, yeah, 14, 15.
14. And this part of the segment of our podcast is going to be kind of more of a personal touch on things and kind of finding out the adventures of women. I think we learn best from each other sometimes, and personal experiences, the what we wishes we could have done, the shoulda, woulda, couldas of menopause and of hormones. And so, yeah, I guess we'll just get started.
Yes,
And you
story
can
time.
we're going to get a story. Yola's going to tell us a story, and you can just kind of tell us your journey and your age if you feel comfortable, and kind of just,
Age is my badge. That's a badge, really.
Right?
Well, this is my golden birthday year. I'm going to be 50 in October. And I am in full throttle of perimenopause, they say, because as soon as I get to the cusp, you have to not have your period for a year. I don't know why I don't lie either. Like, I've gotten to like, was this my doctor? Anyway, no period. You can't have a period for a year. So,
know
like,
I don't know that.
Yeah, until you're fully in, like, they consider you in menopause. You have to miss a period for a year. So I got the IUD. Well, I don't know where to start. So I got my period kind of late. I was heavily into gymnastics, sports, whatever. And they said back then, I don't know what they say now, kind of your physical activity can kind of tamper whatever the word is. So I was going, and I was one of those girls who lied, right? Like I was like, are you there? Got him. It's me, Margaret, Judy Blume, like right in, like that was my decade. That was my wheelhouse. So we were all like so anxious to blossom and to turn into girls, right? And so many of my friends, like I remember in elementary school, one of the girls in the bathroom crying and somebody going to get her coat, and I had no idea what was going on because I think I knew that periods were coming, but she had gotten it and she was in grade like 5 or 6, and that was like mind-blowing to me because I thought I'd be in junior high or high school, which I was. But then, kind of rapid fire, so many of my friends just started getting their periods. And I was like, well, what's wrong with me? Like, I'm stuff in my bra. What else do I have to do? Like, carry food coloring with me? Like, what is this? Because I didn't feel like part of the club. Oh God, if only. Where do I cancel my membership now? Right? So I lied. Like typically everybody like disperse for the summers, and you come back first day of school, and the questions are, you got a boyfriend? Or like, did you get it yet? Did you get it yet? Yeah. Did you get it yet? Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, this summer. Yeah. Well, 2 years later, one girl actually called me out at my locker one day. I remember my friend Tammy, she's like, do you have something? I need something. And people would always ask, and I was like, no. And finally, like, you never have anything. You never have anything in your locker. And I was like, I've been found out. What am I supposed to have? I don't have anything. I was like, I'm clockwork. I know the day I have my stuff with me, and that's it. So then fast forward, like it was 2 years, it was like grade 10, like summer, like just about to go into grade 10. And I wanted a party, but I couldn't express to my friend because I'd lied. Everybody thought I'd had it for ages. I think probably like my bestest friend, I think like she'd known, but I was like, okay, this has finally happened. I'm in grade 10 now, and I'm finally a girl.
Woman.
I'm a woman. Yeah. So that's, yeah. But I might have manifested because for like me and my little fib, my white lie, which cast a wide net about being so regular, I was regular, clockwork, 28 days, like come rain or shine.
From day one.
Yeah, from day one. But probably, I don't know, probably within 2 or 3 years, I went on the pill. And 2 to 3 years, that's a lie. I'd already been on the pill for 2 to 3 years because I went on the pill. I had like, my acne had acne. Like I had such horrible, horrible skin. So I'd gone on the pill for acne.
Even before you got your period?
Because, yeah.
Yes, because looking at you.
Sorry, I whispered. I didn't even know. Mom, do you know this stuff? Like you're visiting? Yes, before I went on the period. Before I was on the pill. Probably
Interesting.
not the smartest choice, but 35, 40 years. I don't know what they.
Did it help your like acne at the time?
It did help my acne.
Interesting.
It did help my acne.
I would have thought that it would have given you a period being on the pill.
But it's not a real period.
I guess.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So no, I was on the pill. I wouldn't say 2 years, but it was because it helped. It helped my acne. Then I had moved to Yellowknife. Everything all went haywire. When I moved to Yellowknife, the climate, the different, like my skin changed again, everything changed and it went whack. And then I went through a period, pardon the pun, of going through several different kinds of birth control. Something switched, something changed. And my doctors up there said I wasn't on a strong enough one, or I don't know, they were trying. I was on like a less. I'm trying to remember back now.
Was it because your skin started to go bad again, or
it wasn't just my skin, but I was
symptoms
because I was so regular for so long. Like there was an interruption,
right?
So they changed it, and then I went through several different kinds, like trying to get the right tricycling, like a whole bunch of different kinds. 21, they were trying 21 days with me, or 28, or just take the sugar pills throughout the whole thing. Like I was basically a guinea pig. I was just like doing a whole bunch of different things. Anyways, fast forward, it's stabilized. But then I had my daughter when I was 22, my first daughter. And then after that, all hell broke loose. Like none of my periods. Anything that bleeds that much a month and doesn't die, kinda, I was in the mindset deserves to be shot. Like, just put me out of my misery. Like,
that's how I feel.
Hemorrhaging, insane.
And for how long? Like, this continue until you had your other children?
Yes. It just went like for so long. I would have my periods for like 7 to 9 days. The first 5 days, like tampons were just a joke, essentially, right? Like I had such a heavy flow. After I had Taylor, I didn't go back on the pill.
Oh, okay.
I mean, acne. Yeah, it wasn't like I was just kind of like, I think, like, and I don't know. I guess I'm trying to like date back what studies.
But I would say that's why your period was so regular, is because you were on the pill.
Yes,
right.
Probably.
Like
that was my. But then when it went wonky, it wasn't reliable anymore, and I just felt like I don't know. I went through. I think the trying again, and I was just fed up. I was like, no, and I was postpartum, obviously, like after her, crazy as a bag of hammers on a good day, and moods all over, and just the idea of it. I was like, no. If I have a daughter, there's other methods right now. And I was engaged, so I thought, like, if the family grows, the family grows. We'll go old style, right? And then that was my last experience with birth control up until 6 years until I got an IUD put in. So for so many years, and I'd heard like back when the Rubik's Cube, I'd heard about and all I heard about it was horrible stuff, like. Horrible stuff, like synthetic, like it's
cancer.
Not good. Like your body has to process it for anything synthetic. Your body has to process it first before it can be used to anything that's intended to do. Right. And I was just like, I'm going to just whatever. Like you're
just going to figure it out on your own.
Yes. And I want to go natural. The 3 kids that I had, I didn't have any drugs. I was like, no, I don't want any more stuff put in me. Right.
Yeah.
So honestly, there was 10 years, because there's 10 years between Taylor, my oldest, and Stella. I didn't know what I did. I don't know. I guess I was rhythm method, and like, I don't know. Like I know, like that was the last 20 years of my life has been a blur, really, when it comes to like thinking about I wish what I could have, the shoulda, shouldas. I wish I had have been like religious about tracking, right?
Mm.
Like I was always, anytime I went to the doctor, they're like, when your last period? I was like, oh, 1 month visit. Like, no, like
Yeah.
I could go back and see how many underwear I threw out last month. Like I did not.
Yeah.
And then
Did
I tried.
Did
Sorry,
it ever stabilize out between that time?
it did in the frequency, but not in the urges, like not in the flow. The flows were
Right.
always heavy,
Horrible. Yeah.
horrible. But when it did kind of stabilize was, well, no, it didn't stabilize. It just went away because my other 2 kids were back to back. And, but unbeknownst to me, like, I had Stella breastfed for, I don't know, 6 or so months, 7 months, thinking that was birth control.
Birth control. Yes.
No bueno,
Nope.
no reliable. Like I want to go back to my rhythm, like the other tried and trusted models, because that was not. So we had decided to start. It was in the summer, and we had a discussion. Oh, we'll start maybe trying again in the fall. So I'd gone through a stampede, I'd gone through a trip to PEI, but I was breastfeeding. And while we were in PEI, I got my period. So she was only 6 months. And I was like, I thought it was supposed to be birth control and like
Just get your
not
period.
get my period. Like, why am I
Yes.
feeding her and getting a period? Anyway. So then in September, and it was erratic. It wasn't regular. Like when it came back, I was just like, oh, it's just reminding me I'm a woman again, and like carry on. I'll still feed her. And then when we decided to try, tested the next month, and I was pregnant. I was like, okay, well, again, I'm like fertile myrtle. It worked. Went for the ultrasound, or went for
the favorite part.
the checkup, and there was 2 heartbeats.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, okay. So so they're like, we're going to put you right in for an ultrasound. You're not 12 weeks pregnant. You're 19 and a half, you're 20, like 19, 20 weeks pregnant. Like it fast forwarded all that, except what they found was the echo, the 2 heartbeat was an echo. There had been another sac.
Mm.
So I don't know what kind of heckin' period I had 4 months before, because it was maybe just one of the sacs came out. I don't know. So after that, I was like, so this period stuff is going to be hell probably after. Anyways, Charlie came, yada, yada, yada. There was a stable, well, not a stable, because you go through like the postpartum period, when your period comes back, and I knew I was done having children then, and thought, okay, what will I do? So then the periods were kind of like increasingly getting heavier and heavier, like over the last, like every month. So I went to the doctor and I begged. I was like, please, I don't need this anymore. Can we, like, me just naive, like, can we take it all out? Like, there's 2 days, well, leading up, like PMS is prevalent in our family. I was feeling like I had 2 good days a month. Yeah.
Yes.
That was my wheelhouse, right? Yeah. Like my kill list was the other 25 days. Yeah. Then I bled heavily for the rest. Yeah. And the 2 good days were preceded by the mood swings, the grump, the best thing. I don't know if anybody's ever said this to you. Is your period coming? Are you on your period? And the worst, God love her heart, the worst person to do that wasn't my husband at the time. No. It was my mother. Like at college, she's like, I'm like, you're lucky you live for her. So I was just like pleaded with the doctor. Like, and I made sure that I would make consistent appointments to go back, to show my consistency, to show that like my head screwed on as straight as it could possibly be in this request. Like, I want this gone. And so she, went through all of the pros, cons, like let's try everything else. Like, let's go back. Let's try birth control again. Let's see if we can regulate this. So my doctor was trying to point me to birth control, and I was like, you don't understand, like, my history, and I don't know if it's all, if you can punch nowadays, you can punch in my medical history and see from PEI to Yellowknife to Calgary to every place I've lived and everything I've tried, like back in the day with pills. And then there was the depot, like the shot. And I was like, not a chance. That's all, that stuff is just still too new for me to trust. And the patch. Tried the patch. Horrible. I started getting horrible cramps. I started, like, it was just not working.
Did she ever do a blood test to see where your hormones were?
Well, I don't know that it was for hormones. I am going for one of those in 2 weeks to get, so we'll get there, like, where I've grown. Yeah. But all the time, every time the blood work, I was basically dead. Like, I had no iron. Like, my iron was always like in the negatory. So that was always a justification, like a validation. Oh, wow, let's get your, like, no wonder you're so tired. No wonder you're so this. No wonder you're. And I was like, well, no wonder. You don't understand how much I bleed. Like 2 of these an hour. Like, of course I'm low iron. I have no blood. I'm down to plasma. Like, I have nothing in me. Anywho, so then I had a late age, I would call it my late age pregnancy, in which was miscarried. And then I was like, I am still a fertile, so we are going to try this IUD. I was so hesitant for a while. Anything like, you know, men have it easy, right? Like, we have to put everything in us, and
you're just meant to deal with it. Just deal with it.
So I was like, whatever, I'll try this. And the one selling feature that I was like, I'll try the IUD was that it helped my periods, right? Like, if some women had said that, oh, I only spot, or I only, you know, and I'm like,
I don't get a period.
I don't get a period. So I'll try it. So I did that for the first, I'd say, year and almost a year and a half. I was like, bleep this out. Like, I was like, give me the string. I'm going to take it out myself. Like, I was so annoyed. It was the Mirena copper. So I think it was like out of all the options and all of the research that I did, like, most natural, it's kind of like bioidentical. Like, it wasn't like super synthetic. It was pretty
all hormone based. Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I just have a body that just, like, rejects shit, right? Like, the spotting started and didn't end. So it didn't end.
I've heard that. Yeah.
And spotting, like, sometimes I used to think of, like, oh, you spot, how cute. I clot and I snot and I rot and I, like, everything, right? Like, wouldn't it be cute to just spot? And then I pictured spotting as like, oh, you have a little bit of pink, you have a tinted, they're cute. No, I have like brown rust. Like,
it's
brown rust. And there's copper in me. So I smell like a bag of wet pennies at all times. Right? Like, so I'm like, what have I done to myself? Like, I have this foreign object in me. I smell like a bag of pennies. I like Victoria's Secrets, I might as well buy shares because I just throw shit out. Like, and I don't know how women, I don't know if I have a narrow cooch or what, but panty liners, they always wind up. It's like getting waxed and wearing, like, at the same time. Like, it never stays on my panties. It always is. So so I was like, screw that. I'll just buy throw outable underwear all the time. So I was like, there's got to be a better way. So I went back to the doctor. I'm like, listen, I've tried it. I want a hysterectomy. I don't need my reproductive organs anymore. I hear there's screams that you can, like, give me, you know, like, just a little bit naive and frustrated. So again, I mean, I do love my doctor. She talked me off the ledge and was like, just give it. Like, it can, and she pointed me to things to read. It can take a little while. Like, just see. How are your moods? And I was like, actually, let me survey the rest of my family because this might just be a thing. Like, I actually think I've been so focused on, like, Well, I'm in a bad
Spotlight.
mood because I smell like pennies and I like
Waxed every day.
yeah. But I think overall, like, I think it's out okay. So then she's like, well, weigh that and do a journal. Like, she always sends me home with homework. Do a journal on your moods and do a whatever. So within the next like 3 to 4 months, things did stabilize. And I was like, you vexed me. Like, you don't want me to get this hysterectomy. So then it was kind of like good, like probably for three years.
Okay.
And then, I mean, good in the sense that it was a little bit more good enough, but not good enough that this next bevy of symptoms that I'm going to spew out, that I didn't notice them, right? It wasn't like, but it was stable as in terms of like the universe did prove to me that I am still fertile into my 40s, and I'm not hemorrhaging. Like, I don't want to die I can get out of, like, there's not 2 days anymore that I'm like actually just stuck in bed and like, unless you're bleeding or there's a fire, mom's off. Like, don't come to me. Like, I didn't have to like fully check out like that anymore. So I was like, okay. And then we're into the pandemic, right? And then everything was like everything seemed cross-contaminated to me, right? Like my moods are like, I didn't know, I justified everything. I didn't know I was in perimenopause. I didn't think it was coming because there were so many other things to blame everything on. My moods are changing, or I'm weepy. Well, the world's a dumpster fire. So yeah, I'm weepy and I'm an empath. So I'm like starting to, all of my nature is a little bit more off balance, right? Sleep, obviously, I'm anxious about
What's happening?
the world, right?
Yeah.
The libido, well, I think that's the thing I mourn the most out of my symptoms.
Okay.
I know.
What happens if you've never had one?
That's the reason I mourn it, is because it's one of the things I was really proud of in my life and love. Like, I don't like the sex. And I was always kind of like the guy in a lot of relationships. Like, I had a lot of child libido. And I mean, there's 4 languages and mine was like the sex, right? Like, it was, I saw after all the therapy and we break down like all the unhealthy things that I was trying to accommodate for, I just, after all, like, I'm liking the sex. So when that started, I was like, my life's over. Like, what else? What am I bringing to the table? Like, what am I doing at the table? Like, what am I doing? Buy lube? Are you nuts? I never had to do that before. Like anyway, so that's one of the things that was like, I'm actually really going through the change. It must be. Yeah. It's not the pandemic. It's not like, and then I tried to blame.
Moment.
Kind of. Because I tried to blame, I was like, oh, we're coming up on the 5 years here too, right? Of the IUD, and you're supposed to get out of 5D. And I went to her and she's like, you know what? It's kind of changed. You can leave it in another year. Some people leave it in longer. Like, unless you're having like complications or major cramping or whatever, like, we'll give you an ultrasound and check if everything's okay, but you can leave it in a little longer. Okay, well, because I was kind of on the cusp of, well, do I just want to take it out and be at the 5 year and just like play it safe? Because that's what they originally said, you know, like they flip flop everything. Like, put your baby sleeping on their belly. No, put your baby sleeping on their back. Like, is this just another, like, we're going to test a whole bunch of different options and see what happens in 10 years.
We'll tell you in 10 years.
Which, was this actually healthy? But I was kind of trying to decide if I was going to get another one, because like, really? Am I still? Do I still need it for that? And do I want to put it in for another 5 years? Well, that could be good to get me through the rest of menopause, right? Like, because I am an early starter, late period early starter, which I would have thought was counterintuitive, but hereditary is hereditary. So I decided, it's been 6 years now in February. So I thought I would leave it 6 years and then go take it out. So my appointment is on March 5th. To get that out.
Does your doctor then think that you're in perimenopause? Is there a chance you could go into full menopause?
Oh, yes. So, sorry, back to that. She had told me you have to have no periods for a year. Right. So I was like, okay. So here I am every month, like crossing down, like the big X, like January. get to 7 months.
Oh no.
Period.
Oh no. Why didn't I lie though? Like why? Like
You
why
should've
didn't
just
I just
lied.
be like, no, I just fine. It was just I sneezed and I must have
What
like
would you do differently once you are considered in menopause?
sorry?
Like after that year, now they can say like, okay, now you are in menopause. It's been a whole year.
Now, medically, like the medical side, then they
Yeah.
can look at me for treatment.
But there's nothing for perimenopause.
No, not for them, not
Oh.
from them. But now going to a naturopath because I think the medical field has its purpose,
Yes.
but it's
Yeah.
not
The be all
fully
end.
The be all
holistic.
end all.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I put myself down on a list to get or to register for, it's called Science and Humans. What is it called? It is a menopause management system, Science and Humans. So they send me a requisition and they're going to do all of my hormone levels. A girlfriend of mine recently did it and she Snapchatted me. She's like, I have no traceable estrogen in my body. I have no traceable testosterone in my body. I'm a blob. Like I have I have nothing. So I was like, that is curious. Like I wonder, like I know I have no iron in my body at most given days.
Is that
I have a lot of
Toronto-based?
is rage a hormone? Because I have a lot of that. Sorry?
Is that Toronto, like Ontario based, the Science and Humans, or can anybody?
You know what? I could look it up right now. I think when I registered, there was a whole map of Canada.
Okay.
Like
the
when
main
you
thing you do is test your hormones. Is that what it is?
they test and then they have treatments. They have treatments for men and treatments for women. So if men are having low and they do hair growth, like a whole bunch of hormone replacement therapy and HRT, like the bio hormone. So they test you and there's 3 treatments I believe there's a patch or a cream or a vaginal ring.
Right.
Once they get all your blood work, and then you go back every 6 months because they test you again to see where they're at.
What does the ring do?
The ring is probably, it goes in your...
Like it releases hormones?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But like one hormone? Like what if you're like deficient in 2 hormones?
Whatever your balance is. No, it's like it's like a compound pharmacy. They create it like based on your own personal levels. And then every few months it could be different. I think after, if I'm understanding you correctly, I might have to go every month.
Okay.
Till I get like a benchmark.
Yeah.
And then every 6 months to make for maintenance.
Okay. Yeah.
Because
you can't.
It's not like men. It's not like we can just test once a day or test once.
Totally.
I think that's it. It's like women's hormones are different over 20 days. Every day is different. So.
Yes. And I still, that is very, very relevant because I'm a different person on February 5th than I am on February 20th.
Or February 7th.
And my kids know, or at 5 p.m., right? And so there was a period, so through the pandemic when I was just like kind of before I kind of looked at this might be perimenopause, like the hair loss, all of it kind of all came at once. So it was the libido was kind of a aha moment, but the hair loss and the hot flashes. I know I'm so disjointed. I'm all over the shop I'm not chronological right now, but the hot flashes for me, and I remember I used to think my mom was so dramatic. Like, I mean, drama runs in our family. If it's in the cat, it's in the kitten. So, yeah. So I remember mom being like out the window of the car and being like, oh, stop the car. And I was like, you're a little hot. Like, well, I got showed because I think I was in the car for my first like legit car hot flash. And I'll see your drama, mom, and I'll raise you 10. The kids were like, what? All the windows down, dead of last winter, all the windows down, sunroof open, coats coming off, like down to my bra in the car. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen. I'm like, I'm sick. I'm dying. I don't know. I think I have the flu.
You're burning from the inside out.
And almost like almost like when you see in those cartoons, right? Like when Bugs Bunny chased, I don't know who those characters, but like, and then they get enraged and you see like the temperature, the red go up like a thermometer in those cartoons. I was like, I'm not even real right now. This is happening. And then I don't even know how gradually. It felt like overnight. I was at like 10 to 12 a day.
Oh gosh.
And to the point where like wake up in the middle of the night, or I'm like, oh, I think I peed.
Yeah, you're just sweaty.
I think I peed the bed. Or Brian would be like, do you think you maybe peed the bed? No. Like, no, I was sweating. So a few years ago, Vanity and Sanity inspired only, I would always do these like every once a quarter, these cleanses, like the whole 30, and it was kind of like a food reset. And the one that I used to respond to the most was Whole 30, fully cut out sugar, fully cut out dairy. Oh, so it started out Vanity, like no sugar, like it's a good, deflator essentially. But it super helped my hot flashes. So then I was like, whether it was a placebo effect or like in my head, it literally cut them. So I was like, okay, I'm a no sugar human. Like I'm just like, I'm not. And anytime I still do cheat or have a weekend or like have the dessert, dimes to donkeys, it's like clockwork. That night I'll be like,
Interesting.
So the sugar for me, whether that's like around the board, I mean, I think sugar is the devil anyway, when it comes to a catalyst for like sickness, like things just, anyways, sugar.
It's just bad for you all around.
Doesn't work for me. So that has been my own therapy for the hot flashes. And it's worked. Like it has worked like so far. But so jump again. A few years ago, kind of through the pandemic, when I was kind of sick of blaming everything, like all these mood swings, fatigue, insomnia, which I used to be the president of the nap association. Like I could, like, if you said goodnight for a second, I could go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and snore. Like I used to have no problem sleeping, right? Like siesta, afternoon, go back to sleep. Then there was this period of, it used to bewilder me when people be like, oh no, when I'm up, I'm up. I'm like, what do you mean when you're up, you're up? Like roll back over. Like if I had to take if somebody had to take their kids to school, or if their husband woke them up snoring, I can't get back to sleep. I'm like, what are you talking about? Then I experienced it. Like if I woke up, there was no going back to sleep. And I was like, what is this? Oh no, you didn't. Not today, saying I need to go to sleep. I need to get back to sleep. So I was like, curious. Is this another thing? So I was sick of kind of blaming everything or justifying or not really looking where the needle was pointing and just using it as, oh, the world's changing, the pandemic, everything's different. And I literally was concerned about my mental health. Like I thought I was going crazy. So I reached out, I did CAMH, and I was like, I need an assessment. Like I need assessment. It runs in my family and I'm not used to feeling like this. I'm not sleeping. Not sleeping can lead to everything else, right? Like the anxiety, panic attacks, depression. And I hadn't experienced that before. Tons of depression in my family, but I would always go the other way, like more of the mania, like never really the sadness, which I understand now that there's more information, is I just presented differently. So I booked an assessment, and at the end of it, he was like, okay, well, I think you're totally fine. Like, I think it's something else. And I was like, no, like, I was more disappointed that you're not diagnosing me with something. I was like, no, like, then I know what, like, I'm batshit crazy, just I'm batshit crazy. And then I know, and then but now you're making me still wonder. So when I went back to my doctor, because she had kind of helped me, giving me the referral, or she had to put in the referral for whatever. She's like, how old was your mom and I was like, I don't know. I mean, I'll ask her. And I was like, oh. And it's curious because we never had those conversations other than me like thinking that she's loopy and having her hot flashes, right? It was early. And I was like, oh, and she's like, perimenopause. And at the time, that was like, I'm still 19. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean I'm perimenopause? Like, that's for older people. That's not for me. But then everything just lined up. Everything made sense.
I feel like perimenopause, that word didn't even exist in the real world until a couple of years ago.
Right. There was puberty. Oops. You're an adolescent, you're pubescent, or you're menopausal. Those were the three things. And the gap in between was you were just having babies. You were either
puberty, not to get pregnant.
Yeah. Trying to get pregnant. Postpartum or partum or menopause. Like the peri wasn't. So then finally when that was said, like that was identified, like you're perimenopausal. And this is I should have conversed and drew myself a map to her saying you have to be like 1 full year of menopause, but you're probably perimenopausal. Like, oh, okay. Everything lines up. I sleep, my mood swings. And then in the last 6 months, I lost at least, and I am an exaggerator by nature. I will own it, but 50% of my hair. And I know, like, given how you've had to lose your hair, it's I don't mean to be insensitive of that, but when this used to be like, if all of my hair used to be here and I take this much of it, that's what that was. Like and the clots, or what do they call it? Clumps.
Yes.
I got clots in the mind here, but clumps. You know, you're in the shower and you roll them over the ball and
rub them on the side of the wall.
Yeah, gradually, like
on
it's
the
like,
shower wall.
There's an absolute nest in my hand, and for that, until all of the dots were like put together, I had gotten. Remember, I think when you lived here, I think you're the one that told me about it. Because you had curly hair too, that the Brazilian blowouts, I had gotten a few of those, and I was like, that's killing my hair. I'm losing my hair. Well, it's been ages since I've done that. But so I can't blame it on that, right? So all the needles pointed to more symptoms because the hair, now that I even have left, it has no curl. Like normally I have ringlets.
That's great. But it makes sense that your
changed.
hormones...
Totally. My hair is way less curlier since having my third child. Like I can almost potentially air dry.
I can. This and air dry for me used to be, I was foo-foo. There was no. I mean, there was no.
I tried to straighten her hair once. I know how thick your hair was.
Oh, so not just me that you're always trying to do their hair.
No, but I had
in Boston
Taylor
when we went to Madonna.
It would take hours. Like even Taylor would be like, but now, like I can do this and see through it. I could never. Like this is a fraction, and even and there's probably even shorter. Like I don't know if it's breakage. Like some might be breakage, but no, the volume.
You've had no guidance on, like, have you done anything to try to help it or find out why it's happening or anything?
The hair, other than talk to a hair when I'm there. I always talk to the hairdresser, but I think that because a lot of them, or the girls who washed my hair or anywhere I went, didn't really grasp how much hair I had. They're still like, oh, I wouldn't worry. You still got lots of hair. So it was always kind of minimized. Like, no, that's not hair loss. I've seen hair loss. And I'm like, well, no, I don't want you to have to be able to see my scalp to like, validate that I'm losing my hair. I mean, I think other than looking at diet and looking at hormone, more things, but for now, for me, first things first is I really want to get that reading, that blood work, and see, the baseline of, and then kind of go from there.
Do you wish you had done that sooner? Yeah. Like, do you wish, like, I kind of feel like we're considered a geriatric pregnancy at 35. Why is this not an annual thing? Like, I get it. Our hormones go up and down, but let's just kind of start tracking it.
Yes. And that like now there's tools, like there's the apps, there's the whatever. I'm much more diligent now. Well, probably based on my regret that I didn't do it before, but tracking and tracking everything and trying to give, like, my daughter just turned 27 yesterday or 2 days ago, like telling her now, like,
yes,
I know there's a lot of things I've warned you about in life. I know. Just like, can we please just, I'll give you this new Bible of things like that's still coming down the pike. Like like, because we do, especially what you guys are doing too, like to bring awareness. We are in a sweet spot to start collecting and being some change makers for the next generation, or at least our kids, or our,
100%. Me too, actually.
What?
Well, just that we're in the sweet spot. Like we have ability, and that we can change things. Like even for me, I'm like, I'm behind the boat. Like I want it to be better for my daughters, and I'm only 35.
Like to have the conversations. 35, like what men have to, like, it should be there should be a marker, like when men have to get their prostate checked, women have to, like, that's boom. This, I mean, and I know it's different, but at least a wheelhouse of start going to get your hormones, or if you're done
checking hormones before we put girls on birth control.
True.
You know, like, let's find out what they actually need, right? Like,
instead of putting her on 10 different birth controls to see which one fits.
To try. Yeah. I was a lab rat. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Let's mitigate that and the horrible torture she has to go through to find that right one.
Before you get pregnant, like if you want, like, right, a lot of women deal with infertility, you know, and then they probably start to seek out and check their hormones. Why isn't everybody doing that? And then
that's the standard.
You know, and then after, you should, with your postnatal care, you should be getting your hormones checked to make sure that you're on track to getting back to normal, because it's like, it is so different. There's no, right, like even the thought of, well, if you're breastfeeding, it's birth control, or you can't get pregnant until you get your period, but you don't even get a real period after. Like, I spent last summer, it was like 5 years. It's like, you don't really get back to normal until 5 years after you had your child.
Yeah.
And it's nothing's in a vacuum, right? Everything is so interdependent. And like Stella, my middle, is 16, and she has some skin issues, but there's also the BRCA in our gene. So I don't want, like, skin issues. At first I was like, oh, well, I remember I went on. No, you're not going on that. That was like at 14 when the skin issues came. I was like, well, no, she's not going on the pill. But now she's 16. And I mean,
what are you going to do?
Well, or like, you know, she's in grade 11. She's in 12. And then she's going to, like, what are her options going to be? What are her options going to be? And those are, like, you know, obviously family and deep discussions that we're going to have about options, because she's going away to school next year.
Which is also big, though. Whereas before, like, at least for me, I was like, I kind of sneakily, I either was like, Mom, I want, you know, to go on birth control because of my skin, or you, like, went to a Planned Parenthood. I don't know what they're called. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? And you, like,
I think that's what they're called still.
Yeah. They are still. Right? Yeah. Where it's like, and then you just did whatever, and you were scared the whole time. I was like, I hope for my daughters that they feel empowered walking into those rooms, knowing what they want, what their options are, what
advocating for themselves,
that they know they have support. Like, I just think that's so important. Because
and again, that's why we do this, is to start that conversation for the next generation coming up, because we all had to just figure it out for ourselves, and we're still, like you said, you're still just figuring it out as you go. And why is that a thing?
This is funny.
Like,
best friend. So talk about hair loss. Whatever's leaving here,
it's just for the people listening.
Coming up here,
dermaplaner
here. Like, this is my bed. I don't have a pen in my pocket anymore. I just have this in my pocket.
Dermaplaner to the rescue for your facial hair.
hormonal hair.
Yes.
Because I did ask the doctor about that too. I'm like, I want this, and I want this. She's like, that's just hormonal. Like you're just gonna chase it, and it's gonna.
And you just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Well,
Definitely.
thank you so much for sharing your
I'm sorry, I was all over the
story
shop.
with us. No, it was easy
But
to
that's
follow.
what it is.
It
It is all over the shop. It is all over the shop for sure.
That's just
It's
kind
like
of what
we
life
almost
is.
forget the experiences we've had because they're like there's many. And there is no process. It's not like, oh, I fell off track here. It's like, well, no, then I had kids, then I was pregnant, then I didn't have kids, then this happened. You know, and like for me, it's like I was on the pill for so long, so out of touch with my body. Not like you said, didn't track because it's in my mind it didn't matter. Whereas now I cannot believe to the day, to the hour when I'm like, oh yes, now my estrogen must be rising, or you know,
Totally.
Then you have the babies, or like, and then I went through chemo, which put everything for a tizzy. So it's
completely out of whack.
How can anybody know what they're supposed to do, or even like the time placement of it all? Because it's just a shit show.
And they should really like. You know how they have those little prickers for diabetics? You know, you could like, why can't they come up with something like that? For
100%.
Like, you know, if I go find out that I'm like super low in progesterone or like, you know, something, have like, they came up with a COVID test that you could stick up your nose and figure out something pretty quick. Like the demand is, you know, pretty much half for whatever ratio of population that we have. This is a estrogen tester, this is a testosterone tester, this is, you know, like just to be able to, so that we can advocate for or so that we can maintain it.
Because we shouldn't like, and the thing is that men don't understand, like, and where we've talked before, like when you're in those moments of like you're emotional or you're hormonal, it is like you are like scratching from the inside out, like every little, and it is a horrible feeling. And especially when you're aware of how shitty you're being, but there's nothing you can do.
So much so. And you know how like there's so much forgiveness around pregnancy brain, right? Like, oh, you're pregnant, or the hormones that go through your body. Well, this for me, and going through that 3 times, or, you know, 4, 5 really, with a couple of miscarriages, like the ups and downs of pregnancy hormones. This is on steroids. Right? And at this phase of our, how many marriages could have been saved? How many friendships could have been saved? How many relationships could have been saved? How much mental health could be,
how many people could have
misdiagnosed? Right? Like then drugs are pushed to deal with this, when it's simply a natural occurrence that could be regulated, whether with hormone replacement or, you know, the creams. I'm just so excited because my friend is having true success with just the amount, like just cream, which she doesn't have to remember to take a pill. Like she puts cream on every day anyway. So like, just how much more manageable it is, because like there's times I look back and I'm like, I'm probably lucky I'm not in jail. For like, you know, like, I didn't kill anybody today. My whole family is alive still. And it was touch and go for a few minutes, right? Like touch and go. Or my empathy for the people that just, where it used to probably live in a place of maybe judgment of those people that just get up and go and just like can't handle anything anymore, and thinking like, wow, she lost a screw. No, she probably had menopause, God love her heart.
Totally.
And she had no idea.
When I think too, it's such a faux pas. And I think we're, as a generation, getting out of the like, you know, oh, you don't ever talk about how old you are. You don't ever, you know, now we're celebrating it. Like, guess what? The alternative,
turning 50,
right?
The alternative of not having a birthday,
right?
So celebrate your birthdays. And it is not birthdays or old age. It is denied by many, right? It's definitely a blessing.
And that's why menopause was never talked about, is because women didn't want to expose how old they were. And so now it's like, no, these are the things we need to start talking about. And we need to celebrate being 50, 60, 70.
I think women need to be like, but give them the information. So like you said, we can advocate for ourselves, and we can also kind of start demanding more innovation in this. It's like, we want better. So
Yeah.
And
So
knowing we're not alone, right?
yes,
Because,
exactly.
like talk about mental health, or talk about like the cliche of, or stigmas around, oh, she's crazy, she lost her mind, right? Nobody wants to be seen like that. So nobody wants to, your all your emotions are stuck in this box, and it's so isolating and so alone until these conversations happen and everybody can be like, huh,
oh yeah,
that was
Not
me
just-
Tuesday, and that might be me again in 10 minutes, but okay, I'm not alone.
That's huge.
There has to be some good country menopause songs coming out, I think.
I feel it.
They sang about everything else.
Come on,
feel it.
It's time. I'll be in Nashville in 2 weeks. I'm going to put in a request at a
You
songwriting
you got any
circle.
menopause songs?
Yeah. Can we talk about hot flashes?
If you don't, you should.
Totally. There's enough beer drinking songs. Like,
exactly.
give me a hormonal replacement therapy. Twang. Talk about it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
You're so welcome.
So insightful and entertaining, because I knew it would be. It's so good.
I hope you're good editors. I mean, I know you're good editors. I feel so authentic because I had to be on camera for work today. So otherwise, you would have gotten a bun and a full, like, this lady is going for menopause look.
That's okay, because most of our people are listeners anyway. So
right, good.
You look fabulous as always. Well, thank you so much.
So nice to talk to you guys.
Yeah.
I'll give you the update someday. I'll give you the update on where my hormones were, what cream they gave me, and how it is with my IUD taken out, because I've decided not to get another one in and try that for a while. Like versus
we want to know for sure.
Yeah. I'll give
Stay
you the update.
tuned. Okay.
Part deux. Okay, ladies.
Okay, thanks so much.
Stop recording.